Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Friday Morning at the Fun House, alongside, as always, in the co-captain's chair, Mr. Martin Popoff. What's going on, Martin?
Yes. Morning, sir. Morning, sir. Lots going on. I guess we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But yeah, lots going on. Fall is here. Got to get the winter tires on soon. Oh, look at that. There you go.
Go
Nice. Nice.
Mets! What a
Yeah.
what a
Yeah.
night last night. Woo, man.
Boy, Jays have had a terrible season. I think they ended up 12 games below 500, something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
in the basement. Yeah.
And I was surprised because I thought the Jays had a pretty good team, but it just kind of didn't work out for them. I mean, they're in a tough division. It's like, when you got the
Oh,
Yankees
I know.
and
Yeah.
Tampa's usually pretty good. They weren't this year, but
Yeah.
the Red Sox and now the Orioles are
Yankees.
good every
Yeah.
year. And but
Yeah.
I mean, Orioles got bumped out and got swept in two games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, well, I think the Mets and the Brewers were the only series that went to full three games. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it
Nice.
turned out in our favor. So we'll see what happens in Philadelphia. So
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
anyway,
All
so
right.
we got a fun show for you planned here today. So we're kind of doing more of these kind of like song-based shows. I know we talk about albums all the time, but we decided to kind of do a series of episodes in the coming weeks and months that have to do with specific bands and songs and whatnot. So Martin came up with this idea, and I kind of like it because they do have a lot of songs that kind of fall into this category. Best and worst of Queen's goofy songs.
Yeah.
I guess we should complain. We should explain goofy a little bit, right, Martin? Because a lot of people take that word differently. You could say Queen's lighthearted stuff, Queen's more silly songs, or humorous songs, or kind of genre mashup songs, right, where they're doing all these weird
Yeah.
sort of things. I don't know. Maybe you want to explain a little bit more, but
Yeah, yeah. Best and worst goofy Queen songs, right? So the idea is, goofy is a good word that sort of encapsulates all this. I did a, history in five songs with Martin Popoff audio episode back episode like 82, I think it was, or 83. I did one that was on novelty singles, right? And then that got me thinking about Queen. And just the sort of the same way I kind of like joke around that, Pink Floyd got rich by coming up with like sound effects and spoken word stuff to put into their songs, right? Queen, I basically made the point through that episode that that Queen got rich by making funny songs. Most of their hit singles have a novelty aspect to them, right? So yeah, I really think that this is a band that the whole trend is on novelty singles out of that band. So that's why I like this goofy song idea. And then I thought, we're gonna be doing 10 of our worst and 10 of our best. So the idea is, okay, you like making goofy songs, Pete and Martin are gonna tell you which ones worked and which ones didn't work, kind of thing.
yeah.
So that's the idea. So yeah, should I go through? I'll go through all 10 of my worst. What do you think?
Well, why don't we do five and five?
Five
And
and five. Okay.
yeah,
Five. So five worst. So five worst goofy Queen songs. Starting at the bottom. I'm going to start with a bit of a hot take. And this is a bit of a weird one, but it opens up the discussion. We Will Rock You. I've always thought that that was a goofy song. Obviously, it's not even drums; it's just stomping and clapping sort of thing. Other than that, it's a cappella until you get a little bit of guitar. But I've never liked it. I've never liked that refrain, the "We will rock you" part. I'm happy for the little bit of guitar in it. Obviously, it's not a super long song either. But yeah, I find it just always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Number nine, I've got The Invisible Man from The Miracle. Yeah, I should start showing my albums here. I've got some of these kicking around. The only one I don't have, I just learned this morning. I don't have a copy of Queen the Works, but I've got all the other ones. So there you go. There's your We Will Rock You and your Miracle and all that. There you go. So The Invisible Man, never liked that from The Miracle. The Miracle has a lot of goofy songs. Next, I went with Cool Cat from Hot Space, right? Yeah, there it is. Late in the sequence, side two. Yeah, just so they can make goofy songs. We'll see this when we get to the best of them as well. But they can make goofy songs that have the entire instrumentation is silly and flippant and what are we doing here, but also the melody can be really dumb. Cool Cat's got some a cappella in it as well. Next, we've got Delilah from Innuendo.
Yeah.
Which is the one about his cat. It's just very light and dumb and doesn't kind of fit in with the rest of the album. A lot of people like Delilah. It's got that creepy meow thing going on in it as well, right? Um, but
It's
yeah, never
good.
liked it. Body language. I mean, I've got a lot of songs on here. But I like a lot of this album. I think quite a bit of it is pretty good. But body language just annoys me too. Just the whole melody when if you're gonna make those sorts of disco dance music arrangements, it helps to have the melody. And then we're probably going to see that in some of our best Queen Goofy songs as well. So there you go. That's my 10 through 6.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, don't like Hot Space at all. I had to
Okay.
stop myself from putting the entire album on this list. I totally forgot about Delilah. That's a great pick. Yeah, that's totally goofy, and that just doesn't work for me. I remember when that album first came out. I liked that album quite a bit, but I never liked that song at all. So.
Yeah.
All right, number 10, I'm also going to go Body Language, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. I hate the synthesizers and
Body
just
language,
it this
body
yeah,
language.
it just I don't get it. Give me my body. It just sounds like they're trying way too hard to make a really cool hip song, and it's not hip at all. I don't think. I think it's terrible. I watched the video again last night, and I was like, oh God, this is just awful. No good. That's my number 10. Let's go to the Works album for Man on the Prowl, which is like them doing like kind of like an Elvis style rockabilly knockoff. I mean, I know that Freddie was a big Elvis fan. I get it, but this song just doesn't work for me at all. I don't like it at all. It just sounds like, again, they're trying too hard to do this kind of fun little take on the Elvis style. That just doesn't work for me. Next up, number 8. I'm going to stay on the same album. Machines or Back to Humans.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this. They're trying very hard to sound futuristic. It's essentially a pop song, but they're adding all these little musical bits that make it sound like it's, something that could have come from, this was what year was this, Martin?
Four, I
1986,
think.
four,
Four.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's like 2030, right? And it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just sounds
And
contrived.
you're annoyed even before you get past the title. The title is just so annoying, right?
Yeah, machines or back to humans. Like what? So you're saying that we went with machines and we decided that was no good, so let's go back to whatever. I don't get
Or
it.
we don't know what to call the song, so we're going to give you both titles that we have
Yeah,
for it,
yeah.
kind of thing.
No good, no good. Number 7, we'll go to the Miracle album. My Baby Does Me. I really don't like Queen doing really, really bland R&B. It just does not work for me at all. And it's like, and this, there's some interesting stuff on this album. A lot of it doesn't work for me. Some of it's good, but this is just like, when you get to this on the album, it just kind of like kills any momentum that anything had. And it's really, really bland. It's like Queen trying to do like Sade style, whatever. And it's not what I want to hear from these guys. That's my number 7. And my number 6, let's stay on the same album, shall we? Party. Let's do some kind of like sing along, dance pop. The whole first half of the song is so ridiculous. Um, but the one saving grace, then all of a sudden Brian May enters the scene and lays down this blistering like assault of riffage and like harmonics and way. It's like, where'd that come from? Because the rest of the
Yeah.
song is just god awful. It's like I'll
Yeah.
just take that little 40-second thing that he does there, the rest of it throw it in the garbage. But yeah, Party does not work at all for me. That's
Yeah.
my first 5.
All right. So my next five. So these are getting more intense hatred as we move on, sort of thing, as we get to the top. So I'm gonna go with another one bites the dust from the game. Yeah, totally a goofy song, totally a novelty single. Never liked it. Never liked anything about it. Next, I'm going with the same album, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Their little play for the rockabilly cash in sort of thing. Another totally goofy song. First time Queen ever did anything like that, and totally don't like it. Next, I'm going with Man on the Prowl, which is the same sort of thing as you say. It's them, doing the Elvis thing. So he's got the Elvis vocal thing going on. He had a little bit of that in Crazy Little Thing Called Love, but I think the main thing about it is we're just trying to get another hit with it, like Crazy Little Thing Called
Yeah.
Love, sort of thing. And next, I've got A Kind of Magic. from this album title track. And never liked that title. You know, I don't like titles that start with A in it, right? And then you've got the title track. And again, it's the Sade R&B kind of thing, right? Da, 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 da. Yeah, I don't know. Just don't like most of this album. And
Why
then one I'm
they,
going
why
back.
couldn't they say, why couldn't they title it It's a Kind of Magic? Because that's what they say in the song.
Exactly, right.
Right?
And then magic, and yeah, it's like so many. And then we've got hot space again for staying power. And yeah, staying power. I hate those chords, those notes, those melodies, right? Just drives me crazy. So and the rest, I mean, I seem to have a lot from here, but most of the rest of hot space, I mean, I want to give this album some tribute because well, actually, some other songs are going to come up later. I won't say it.
Well,
There's a
actually,
few
it's
on
not
here.
very good.
Well, no, they're coming up on my good list a little
Oh,
bit,
okay.
right? I think, yeah, a little bit. But it's funny with this exercise. There are songs that there are songs that you thought you might put into this exercise, and then you go, it's not quite goofy enough, and I don't hate it enough or love it enough, right? So it could be goofy, and it's not you don't have intense feeling about it, so it doesn't make either your list, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, all right, so that's my 5 through 1.
All right, cool. Let's go to the Game album. Don't Try Suicide.
Right, yeah.
It's,
Yeah,
it's like they're trying to be too cutesy for their own good. I like we're obviously making fun of some songs here, but I love this band and I like a lot of the really inventive kind of different stuff that they've done. But there are times where the band's trying to be too cute for their own good, and I think that's a perfect example of it. It's just I don't know. It's just to me, it just comes across as kind of ridiculous. So I was never a big fan of it. And there's some stuff on, the Game was a big seller for them here, and there's some great material on it, but there's also a lot of stuff where I think they're just trying so hard to get hits and to break into different avenues, which, give them credit for that, for trying something new, whatever. Let's see, where are we going next? We're gonna go back to that album again, Martin. Cool Cat.
yeah,
Yeah. More Queen doing soft, boring, bland R&B. I don't like it. Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool shot of them
yeah.
there. I was kind of like that.
That's lyrics on
Yeah.
the other side.
There's the lyrics to songs you really don't care about, right?
Yeah,
That you don't really want to read about.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Cool Cat, no good. Let's go to an album I love a lot, but I always thought the song was kind of ridiculous. Bring back that Leroy Brown from Sheer Heart Attack. Bring back that Leroy Brown.
Yeah, yeah, great choice. Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Great choice.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't hate it, but it's kind of like, we always joke, like in the proxy, whenever we talk about like those classic ELP albums, there's always like one totally joke song on every ELP album. And Queen kind of did that too back then. And Sheer Heart Attack, I mean, Bring Back That Leroy Brown is definitely the song from this album, I think. It's kind of like this ragtime thing. It's fun, but it's just completely silly to me. And I think, again, it's just kind of a momentum killer on that album. But and then let's see, we're gonna go next to where is it? A Night at the Opera, Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon. I know a lot of people that I talk to who don't like Queen at all, and the reason why they don't like Queen at all is because of songs like this. Queen doing that high schmaltz type of thing. It's very contrived for a lot of people. And on a classic album like this, yeah, Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon, not one of my favorites on here. It's a little kind of silly. And then my number one, let's go to Day at the Races for good old fashioned lover boy. Ooh, yeah, yeah. It's that whole kind of schmaltzy thing, which they do really well. They do really well. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. News of the World. Yeah, Day of the Races. I grabbed the wrong album here. That's the one. You got it. And again, really good album, but not a great song to me. Kind of silly. And again, they're just like laying it on really, really thick. But they do that's part of their shtick, right? It really is. So those are my final five in this
all
category.
right. Okay. So now we've got the positive side
Positive
of
news,
it, the
yes, yeah,
best Goofy Queen song. So
yes,
this is almost like your guilty pleasures, right? It's like, okay, I buy into it. Yeah, you make a lot of goofy songs, and these ones worked, kind of thing, right?
yeah.
Um, so I'm going to start with You and I from Day at the Races. So they do a lot of this. What does Paul McCartney call it? Dance hall music, your parents' music kind of thing, right? Paul McCartney has, he has this kind of eloquent thing he says why the Beatles do this sort of thing. It reminds us of, our parents' generation and all that, and it's kind of cool. Beatles did
Line
it,
dancing and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, and Queen did it, and so sometimes you like it and sometimes you don't. I mean, Killer Queen's a bit like that. Bring Back That Leroy Brown. A whole bunch of them are like that, right? But You and I is just you buy into it. It's just so over the top with the the piano thing going on and the major harmonies all over the place, right? Um, and number 9, I'm going with Action This Day from Hot Space. I like the sort of the tight urgency of it. There is a little bit of guitar in it. It's an experiment in this direction where it's at least a little bit of a hybrid. I like Freddie's vocal on it. I don't mind the chord sequences on it, so kind of cool. Number 8, I'm going back to Innuendo with I'm Going Slightly Mad.
Yeah.
It's definitely a goofy song, but it's dark, it's cool. I think it fits the thing. It sticks in your head. I'm going slightly mad, that whole thing, right? And finally happen, all that, right? So yeah, that's a cool tune.
Oh.
And then I'm going to Hot Space again. Number 7 for Back Chat. I think that's kind of a pretty cool song. I don't mind the chord sequence on do 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 do. It's kind of cool. And it sticks in your head. It's got kind of some cool arrangements on it as well. And wow, back to this one again with Calling All Girls. Set up more like a pop song and more or less a rock song. It's okay. Yeah, it's almost like I'm such a massive Queen fan, that concept where you buy into one more album that you're not supposed to,
You're not
right? And,
supposed to
and
like
this
it.
is the one that I'm buying into, right? So I like about half of this album a fair bit. These aren't my favorite Queen songs by any stretch, but yeah, I think in the best list of mine get better as we move on. So it gets to what songs I like more and more and more. So that's the bottom half. But yeah, I had 1, 2, 3 off of Hot Space
Hot
in there. So
space.
that's my 10 through 6.
Spoiler alert, there's no more hot space on my list here. All right, number 10, start off here. I like this song a lot. I still think it's kind of goofy, and it was a big hit for them. Killer Queen from Sheer Heart Attack.
Yeah,
It is a killer queen. Again, this
yeah,
is where I think the whole kind of schmaltzy thing, this like kind of vaudevillian style that they do, works really, really well because it's just the hook is there. It's got cool little guitar stuff from Brian, great vocal from Freddie. That's really cool. It's classy, it's majestic, it's fun, it's quirky. So yeah, Killer Queen. Next up, let's go back to A Night at the Opera. Where did I leave it here? Again, this is kind of goofy just because of the lyrics and the whole concept of it, and leave it up to Roger, right? But I'm in love with my car. It's just such a silly song conceptually speaking, but it's just so much fun, and his vocal is great. I always love when Roger sings a song or two on every album because he's just so different than Freddie, and it's like a nice little break in between anything else. But yeah, I mean, would anybody admit that they're just absolutely in love with their car and all the reasons why? Nobody but Roger, but it really works. So I dig it. I think that's fun. Let's go to, all right, we haven't talked about this album yet, but we're gonna right now. Let's go to Queen 2 for the Fairy Fellers Masterstroke.
yeah.
I mean, it's over the top. The lyrics are just ridiculous, crazy fantasy stuff, but it all works. And man, that vocal layering and like full bloom. I mean, everybody talks about Bohemian Rhapsody as like the song where that all came together, but they were doing all that really intricate vocal stuff in the studio way before then, even like on the first two albums. But yeah, the Fairy Fellas Masterstroke, again, it's just so over the top. It's borders on ridiculous, but I love it. And next one. So I'm gonna go with where is it? I'm gonna go Crazy Little Thing Called Love. It's a song that I never need to hear again, Martin, but I kind of dig it. I think it's just really, really well written. Yeah, it's silly, rockabilly type stuff, totally different for them, but I think it works. I think it's a good, catchy, memorable song. It's why everybody loves it. I don't love it, but I think it's really well done. I like it. I used to dig it quite a bit. I never need to hear it again, but I think I would include it in this of the best, I think, or favorites. And then the last one for this one. Surprise, 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 because I will fully admit it's absolutely ridiculous. And when you include it in your worst, I kind of laugh because I probably should have as well. But I think I'm the invisible man. Ooh, I'm the invisible man. Ooh, invisible as you can. Ride with
Yeah.
me. I mean, it's so ridiculous that it's like it's catchy beyond belief. And it's like this is one of those songs where I've always like, I should absolutely hate this song, but it's kind of fun and I kind of like it. So I decided to put
Yeah.
it into the best category here because I do dig it and it's kind of catchy and addicting and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, and if you watch the video is just absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
You know, them with the glasses running around. It's just like, what is going on here? It's just so
Oh
bad.
yeah.
Anyway, Invisible Man, that's my last for the first five.
Okay, so my top five, my favorite goofy Queen songs. I'm going to start with Radio Gaga. I've always liked that song. I love the chord sequence. I love the way it builds. It's the absolute most ridiculous lyrics and chorus. I mean, it's just so awkwardly badly written. I don't know. But you know, the point of things like that is you could go so over the top with being ridiculous that people just laugh at it and sing along, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the way it's put together. And all the parts in it, sort of thing. Next, I'm going with Mustafa from Jazz. Jazz is my favorite Queen album. Very brave to open the album with it. It's basically like a little Middle Eastern jig sort of thing. But Mustafa, you real,
Pretty heavy, actually. Yeah.
yeah, it's got great guitar in it. It
Yeah.
builds, and a bunch of songs on that album are kind of like that. That they've got some really heavy parts in them, right?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I just I always loved that song. I thought it was really cool. Next, I want to go with "I Want to Break Free." I think it's a completely goofy song again with a ding 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 ding. You know, it's really simply and poppily written sort of thing. But I think it's got the really nice Brian May lead things in there that goes along with it. Those singing George Harrison-y sort of things that he does in there. Yeah, great chorus. Everything about it's really cool. Pre-chorus, I guess. Yeah, pre-chorus. Yeah, it's got a
Yeah.
really cool pre-chorus and chorus. So yeah, super anthem as well. Here's a bit of a weird one. I love this song. The contention is it goofy or not? Don't stop me now, right? So it's a little goofy, pumping along the piano up tempo like that, and Freddie's very enthusiastic, singing all over it, sort of thing. I think it's a little bit goofy. I've kind of always thought that, but yeah, it's an amazing Queen song. Every time you hear it, it's a great anthem. And my top one, I don't think this should be contentious at all, but Bohemian Rhapsody. Um, I've said Bohemian Rhapsody is the greatest song ever written of all time in any genre by anybody. I think it's the greatest song ever written, and which is pretty funny that the greatest song ever written is a goofy song. Um, it's pretty weird, right? But I don't think you can deny that it's goofy. It's got a lot of goofy parts in it, right? And or put it this way, 8% of it is goofy about, but that 8% is almost as goofy as Queen ever got.
Yeah.
With the Mamma Mia, Mom, all that stuff, right? Very very goofy, right? So the small amount percentage wise of goofiness, it's made up for by being super super goofy. So yeah, absolute masterpiece of a song. I consider it the greatest song of all time, and it had to be way at the top of my list here.
I debated Bohemian Rhapsody like big time, and I was like, is it goofy? It's weird, it's goofy, and then I was like, I almost like I didn't want to sacrifice the golden goose, so I said, let the contrarian do that because I'm sure he's going to pick it in his list. So I
Yeah.
was like, as long as it's represented somewhere. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. Number five. So I absolutely agree with you. I think "I Want to Break Free" is a terrific, terrific song, and I think if none of us take the video out of it. And it's a great song. It's a great anthem, right? It's just, but it's like it's almost. I had to include it because I have I listened to it and I'm picturing the video. The video is completely goofy and tongue in cheek and everything like that. So it almost had to be here. And I think a lot of people kind of shit on this song because of the video, because of them all dressed up as women around the house doing chores and all that kind of stuff. Whatever. But I
You
think
know
it's a
what?
great.
Come to think of it, what else is goofy in that is Brian's guitar solo.
Oh yes, completely. Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
It's just so bizarre, like un Brian May like. And I think I read somewhere that he absolutely hated that guitar solo and did not want to
Really?
do that. But it was, I guess, the
Oh,
producer
it's
really wanted.
iconic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right? Uh, so that's my number five. And let's go to jazz. Where is the jazz album here? I know it's here somewhere. Here we go. There's actually a couple from here that could qualify here, and I put it on Bicycle Race. I think is hilarious and and the lyrics are just ridiculous. But it works so well. Bicycle, I want to ride my
Yeah.
bicycle. It's so over the top, but it's great and it rocks. So
Yep.
that's my number four. Let's stay here for Fat Bottom Girls. That's another really goofy, silly song, but it rocks and it kicks ass. And that big riff and just, yeah, it's just so over the top, but so Queen. I agree with you, Martin. Jazz is like the secret great album in this run of albums. I think
Yeah.
nobody ever talks about jazz. I love jazz. I think it's so good. So, so good. Number two, let's stay here. Mustafa, Mustafa, Mustafa Ibrahim. Great song. I remember the first time I heard this album. We're going way back when it first came out. I was visiting my aunt and uncle and cousins in Long Island, and my cousins had bought this album, and they popped this in, and that song comes on first, and I was kind of like, "The hell is this?" It's weird, it's goofy, and I love it. It's just and it kicks ass. So good. What's it all about? I don't know. Who cares? It's like an Abbott and Costello skit right there. And last but not least, let's go with Radio Gaga. Absolutely terrific. I like it even more from the Live at Wembley show, which I think was the ultimate version of Radio Gaga. It's just absolutely 100% totally ridiculous, and I love it. It's so catchy and memorable, and yeah, it's totally great. So yeah, as we've proven here, Queen can go and do goofy stuff, and we can love it just as much as anything else. So, and again, I don't know, Martin, looking at your favorite goofy stuff, would any of these songs be in your top 10 all-time favorite Queen songs?
Boy, okay, I probably would well, yeah, but Bohemian Rhapsody is gonna be number one pretty much. Yeah, and Don't Stop Me Now for sure. I think I would stop and maybe Mustafa. And so my order's a little weird. So my one, two, and four, I think would get into my top. Did you say top 10? Maybe not top 10. Maybe actually only one would make it in my top 10. I'd say top 20, you would have those three getting in my top 20.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I probably Fat Bottom Girls would make mine, maybe Killer Queen. I don't, and radio top 15. I mean, because I could see Radio Gaga and maybe one or two others kind of floating into that top 15, certainly top 20. But yeah, top 10, I would say probably Killer Queen and Fat Bottom Girls would probably make it for me. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Cool.
So, all right. So now that we got that out of the way, and Martin's got some books to show off and talk about. So, and hopefully,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
will,
been great.
once I receive my copies, I will be reviewing them for everybody and talk a little bit more in
Yes.
depth about them. So,
Your copies of these are going out today. So this is the two Genesis books, big panel discussion books, and Pete's in both of them. But yeah, both of them have a color section, 8-page color section, some black and white stuff, but every studio album of Queen gone through. And this is brand new. This is the budget version, half the price of the old super swanky one, but it's the exact same book, just lacking the paper goods. But that just came out, so it's now called Rock and Roll Chameleon. I had nothing to do with that. It just showed up one day. It's like, oh, so you made a budget version. Okay, fine. This just came out, Judas Priest panel book. Pete's in this as well. You're going to be getting this directly from the publisher, but this is full color throughout. We got Slash in here, we got Blitz, we got Devin Townsend, we got Marty Friedman, we got Charlie Benanti, all talking about Priest in that. So that just came out, and as per topic, I can still supply that. And this is fairly recent too, Queen
yeah.
Live, right? So this is like one of those visual biographies, but it's more or less all their gigs sort of mentioned and the stuff around the gigs in a timeline way. So there you go. All that's at martinpopoff.com. And of course, we got the audio podcast that I mentioned earlier and Contrarians and all that stuff.
A lot of cool new stuff, as always. Very cool. See what's happening here this weekend. Busy weekend here at SOT. So we've got, of course, the professor's picks in just a couple hours. Ken has got a whole bunch of new things that are coming out and hitting this week in prog and hard rock and progressive metal and fusion, all that kind of stuff. And tonight we've got For Fusion Friday. So George, Eric, myself, and our special guest will be looking at four 70s fusion albums from featuring guitar players from the kind of like the LA scene. So we've got albums from Larry Carlton, Lee Ritenour, Steve Kahn, and Robin Ford. That's the four square of albums that we'll be talking about, analyzing and ranking. So that's coming up tonight. Tomorrow we've got the UK Connection with Simon Braid, Stephen Reed, and myself. We're doing our power metal episode. So we've each picked out our three favorite power metal records from 1997. That's tomorrow. And then Sunday, Grant Arthur is coming back. We're going to be ranking our top 10 favorite albums from Poco. It's a band that a lot of people have asked for. So we're kind of doing that, doing a little kind of country rock thing, right? Poco, the great Poco, a band that spawned a lot of very famous musicians on the kind of like the West Coast scene, right? Richie Furay and Jim Messina and Timothy B. Schmidt and others. So also Randy Meisner. So that's coming up on Sunday. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please hit the like button before you leave. We'll see you next week here at the Funhouse. For Martin Popoff, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. See you soon. Bye bye.